I have empty bookshelves, but don't be sad for me. Don't be sad, it's okay. Hey Booktube, it's Kim at Middle of the Bookmarch, and this is my Bookish week for Sunday, June 2nd. And yes, my bookshelves are empty. I've packed almost all of my books, and maybe I didn't have to do that, but I wanted to get a good jump on packing. I'm moving in 2 weeks, so most of the books are all packed up. I have plenty to read still. I've got my Kindle, so I'm ready to go. But yeah, packing is awful. It's just, plus it's the unknown of starting in a new place, and you know, packing is bad because you realize how much stuff you have, and a lot of it is garbage. There's so many garbage bags of things that I got rid of. I've donated so many things, and I suppose that's a good thing, right? It's a good thing to pare down and donate and kind of get rid of clutter and actual trash. Who keeps trash? But I think we all do that. Once we start to go through our things, it's like, why am I hanging on to this stuff? So yeah, so that's why everything is empty back here. And yeah, so let me talk about the books from last week, as well as this will be my wrap up for Mental Health May. And this was a very low-key, relaxing event. And I think Marilyn would agree. My co-host for Mental Health May for the last 2 years has been Marilyn Maya Mendoza. And of course, her channel will be linked down below. Marilyn is such a wonderful, beautiful person, such a good friend of mine. And, you know, when we check in on Voxer, we talk about life, we talk about everything. And she just came back from visiting Lindy in Canada. And I just watched her last video. I'm going to link everything for Marilyn in the description box. But she looked so happy and had such a smile on her face. And she did her Mental Health May wrap up just a few videos ago, and everything will be linked. So Marilyn, I love you. Thank you so much for teaming up with me on this. Thank you so much for teaming up with me in life and for being there. And you are a wonderful friend and a wonderful co-host, and I love doing this event with you. So let me tell you about, what's the first book I finished? Okay. I think all the books I'm going to talk to you about apply to Mental Health May. So the first book I finished, I've already talked about, and that was The Body Keeps the Score by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. And it's in a box somewhere. I do have the physical book, but it's in a box. So I'm going to show you the cover page on my Kindle. It is this. And this is the first book I finished for Mental Health May. And as I already talked about, I listened to this one on audio for the most part and combined it with the physical book. It's fantastic on audio. So this was a very good choice for me for Mental Health May, and I learned a lot. There was a lot that was confirmed for me on how people deal with trauma of all different sorts. And it could use with a little updating, but it was still a very good read, and I'm very glad I got to that book. So the next two books I read were basically for relaxation on my part. And that is another definition of self-care. Self-care is doing things that make you happy, that make you feel good, that make you feel content, that are relaxing. And it's been a rough month, so it's been a rough 6 months. So I read 2 books about books, and it's this one, At Home with Books. This is a beautiful book about home libraries and collectors' libraries. It's a lot of really spectacular libraries, not just the regular reader, but beautiful library pictures. And the other book that I read is this one. This is House Beautiful, Decorating with Books. And just gorgeous, gorgeous design pictures, including books of all kinds, and people's libraries and people's homes filled with books. And these 2 books for me just pulled me out of some really difficult situations and took my mind off of things and provided me with beautiful images and the thought that one day I could own the Beauty and the Beast library. If everybody of my age who has watched the Disney Beauty and the Beast and has dreamed about owning that type of library, it's so cliche, but that was me. And I was an adult, not a little girl. So looking at those pictures is just, it's almost like it slows my breathing, and it made me relax, and it gave me the visuals that I needed, and it's such a wonderful way to take care of my mental health. Now, I did finish a book last week, and again, this is also a great book for Mental Health May. And this one I did read on my e-reader, so let me open that up and I will show you the picture, which I love. And it is this one, Heartstopper Volume 5 by Alice Oseman. And guess what? There's going to be a Volume 6, which I wasn't aware of. I thought this was going to be the last one. I had already read the first 4 and just adore them. But what I want to show you is something inside the book. Let me see if I can find it. And I don't think I'm going to be able to. But it had I don't even know where I found it. No, I can't find it. It had a list of resources for mental health, and I wish I could find it, but I can't. And if I do, I will post them in the description. The Heartstopper series is about 2 young boys, kind of high school age boys, Charlie and Nick. And they, through the entire series, they have fallen in love. And Charlie is gay and out, and Nick was a rugby player and was not aware of his sexuality, knew that something about him was different than he thought of himself, and come to find out he is bisexual and he falls in love with Charlie. This particular volume, Volume 5, is addressing their continuing relationship and the advancement of their physical relationship. It's just such a beautiful relationship and a beautiful series, beautiful books. It's very fast to read because there's a lot of white space on every page. A lot of pages don't have any words, it's just visuals, but it is such a beautiful story. They are navigating Nick getting ready to go to college and touring different universities. What is it going to be like if he moves further away from home and from Charlie, who's still in high school? And I just love this. I love the entire series. This also addresses a lot of mental health issues, especially on Charlie's side. Charlie had overcome anorexia, still deals with it a little bit. He had overcome some pretty extreme bullying in school and anxiety, and it addresses that. And what is interesting is addressing anorexia from a young boy's perspective. It very stereotypically is discussed when it comes to teenage girls, but this is very sensitively done and talks a lot about Charlie's mental health as far as acceptance, not only on other people's parts, but his own part, and how he lives his life with the acceptance of his mental illness and what he does on an everyday basis to live with it. And it's so well done. I just loved it. It was a little brief for me, and I think I gave it 4 stars, and I think that was why. It was like, the first 4 were just, I don't know, propulsive and filled with, not drama, but filled with human condition. And this one was a little brief, a little abridged, even though it's not, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's still a beautiful story. Highly recommend. If you've read them all, read them again, but be on the lookout for Volume 6. I will be. I know that for sure. So those are the books that I finished. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I finished 4 books for Mental Health May. I finished a book or 2. I think I finished 1 book for Springathon. And I am still reading a book for Mental Health May. This has been slow going only because of distractions and not finding a lot of reading time, just being super tired. But Mr. Flood's Last Resort by Jess Kidd, still reading this one. It's very good. It's The Hoarder in Europe or the UK, and I'm really enjoying this. Jess Kidd's writing is awesome. I love her writing. I love the humor she injects in her stories. I love her imagination and her dialogue. She writes great dialogue. So this is about Mr. Flood, who is an isolated hoarder, and Maude Drennan is the home care worker that gets the assignment to go and work with him. And so their dynamic is hilarious and sad at the same time. There's a mystery, there's family drama. It's very good. I'm really enjoying this book. So that is it for me for the bookish stuff last week, and the books that I finished for Mental Health May. I purposely wanted to have this type of event to be very relaxed this year, and it worked. It really did work. I love the opportunity to open the conversations surrounding mental health of whatever type. Marilyn talks about hers quite openly. She lives with an anxiety disorder. She's also dealt with agoraphobia and panic disorder. I live with bipolar type 2, which means I have dealt with depression and anxiety most of my life. I did not get diagnosed until I was 50, so that was a while ago. I was well into a middle-age adulthood. So opening the conversation to talk about those topics is freeing, and it hopefully reaches other people, and we get to talk about it out loud. We get to talk about removing any stigma or shame at not only talking about mental illness, but addressing your own publicly. I realized a long time ago, there is no shame in having a mental illness, nor is there a shame in talking about it. And if any of us, if I can help one person or reach one person to say many things, to say, come out of the dark, there's no reason to be embarrassed. Or if you need somebody to talk to, reach out. If you want resources, ask for them. Just even watching videos, and even if you don't have the courage and can't find the courage to reach out, continue to watch videos, continue to look for resources. And like I said, in my description box, I will put a list of different mental health resources down there that I hope people will either find or find useful. So thank you all so much for taking part. Even if you read one book that made you relax, had nothing to do with mental health, that's awesome. And thank you everybody who gave this event exposure. All of the other booktubers, thank you so much for everybody that shouted us out, that tagged me in your videos. I love to see that other people were reading books on these topics and talking about them so openly. It's so heartwarming to see that. And yes, we'll be back next year. If I'm still on Booktube, it'll be back next year. I really enjoy doing this event. I love doing it with Marilyn. And that's it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.